Hello, everybody. So this video is entitled Trust the Taco Trade. Should you trust the Taco Tuesday? Is this a real rebound or should you not trust it? And perhaps should you turn at, over prescriptions like perhaps a STRC, perhaps a Bitcoin, perhaps some staking, perhaps something like that. Of course, no financial advice ever on this channel, but that's what we're going to talk about because the taco trade did play out at the last minute yesterday. Really, that was way late in after hours. But the taco trade did play out to the surprise of many. And my stance has always been we can't predict. It's unpredictable. But, many people were adamant that he wasn't going to taco. He tacoed. And of course, every time he tacos, every time it's less likely that we have an escalation, which in my view is a good thing for the markets, right? I don't like war. I'm not interested in war. I'm interested in the markets. This is a channel where we discuss the markets. For the markets, it's not good. We don't want an escalation for the markets. But anyways, that's also the typical taco playbook, which is there's no deal, right? It's just an extension of a deadline, right? 2 weeks extension of a deadline. Well, you remember the tariff tantrums. You remember Liberation Day last year, exactly, just about 1 year. Same. It was an extension. Every time he would add weeks to the deadline, weeks to the deadline, weeks to the deadline. So, anyways, it seems like they signed a ceasefire right now, which is why the market bounced back a whole lot in the morning. And then they lost a little bit throughout the day, but we still ended up way up. And of course, when we talk about a ceasefire, it's also important to realize that sometimes a ceasefire can last a very long time. What if it's 2 weeks and then they extend 4 weeks and then 8 weeks? And then next thing you know, it's 2028. There's still a ceasefire going on. I don't know if that makes any sense. All I know is that we don't know. All I know is that, yes, this deadline extension is temporarily good for the market. The more extension of a deadline, if every 2 weeks there's a taco, the market is going to start putting less and less credibility into this whole madness. But the problem, of course, as we speak, is that the price of oil is going back up again. Oil is actually up 7% from the day low. And you have a bunch of people in Iran who are saying, oh, the ceasefire is off, it's all off, because of what's going on between Israel and Lebanon. Of course, I thought this was a US-Iran deal, but apparently Iran is saying, oh, it's off now because of what's going on in Lebanon. And then you don't know, of course, if the people who are saying that are legitimate or not. We don't know anything. We have to wait 12 hours on every single tweet to actually figure out who's saying the truth, what's not the truth. But it seems like they agreed for a fee, for $1 million fee. It seems like they agreed to let about 12 ships per day go through the Strait of Hormuz, and that's up from like 1 or 2 a day. So that's pretty darn good. But as Kobesi later points out, there's a lot of it regained a lot of it, right? And apparently a tanker just an hour ago, this screenshot is recent, was turned back from the Gulf waters. So, if you're passionate about this topic, you probably know much more than I do about this topic, because this topic just doesn't interest me. But is Hormuz closing again? Perhaps. I don't know. What info can you trust right now? Was Hormuz really open today, right? The deal they announced this morning, yesterday night, was that a real deal? Because they're imposing a toll. So if they're having people pay $1 million toll, it sure seems to me like it's not as good as what we had prior, which prior it was no toll. So now there's a toll. So and sure, if it's a big ship, $1 million is not a lot of money, but that still seems much more restrictive than whatever we used to have, 5 weeks ago. And so oil is in the high $90.97. Yeah, oil was $70 before this whole thing started. So anyways, this is all I know. All I know is that right now the markets are ruled by tweets, and tweets can either trigger mad red yesterday or mad green today. It's all headline driven, all macro driven. There is very little time for price discovery. Price discovery is almost gone. And so what I can tell you is that I'm not chasing anything today. I'm not chasing what rose. If anything, this is an opportunity to consolidate the portfolio if you had a risky positioning before. My view is I wait and see. I wait and see, and I also celebrate hard assets. Some hard assets, metals, commodities did really well today. And one asset that did exceptionally well today, of course, is one of the assets that near and dear to the channel, which is Bitcoin. Bitcoin was on fire today in pre-market. Yesterday, we actually broke 72,000. We ended up at a very honorable 71,300. Of course, Bitcoin was way more down yesterday. And we also need to mention the beauty of the fact that the fear and greed index is not in the fear territory. We're neutral. We're at a 44. Give it another good day. We'll be at a 50 tomorrow. Crypto is not fearful anymore. This is amazing. This is setting us up for a rise again in crypto. And we know usually that crypto drops first and crypto rises first. So whatever happens to crypto, that could actually be really good for the NASDAQ and over supposedly risk on stocks out there that the market seems to be associated with risk on. Today's strategy doing very well, up 3.7%. Bitcoin up 3.3%. Now, strategy is underperforming. I keep thinking the reason why strategy is underperforming is because of the ATM. But then again, that wasn't the case last week. So we will know why strategy is not up roughly 1.5%. We will know that probably on Monday. I'm hoping it's because of the ATM. I think it would have to be because of the ATM. But if it's not, then I guess there were more sellers than buyers on MSTR that day. That's what it is. But over the long run, I have no issue with a long-term correlation being much higher than Bitcoin. Like 150% Bitcoin is what I think over the long run correlation between strategy, MSTR, and IBIT-R. But here's all I know too on day two of this madness, right? This is really good. The price action of stretch. This is the second day where we have this what I would call like a parametric price action. Like this doesn't look like a natural movement at all. This looks like something that was entirely engineered. Saylor engineered stretch to trade at 100. It'd be very interesting to see what algos he has on the back end, which use the ATM to drop the price down whenever stretch wants to go up. There has to be a very precise dosing of ATM, right? Issuing new shares that have to be issued exactly at the right time to try to be at 100. This signal, when I look at this signal, to me, this is consistent with, say, an AC electric signal. It looks as consistent as an AC electric signal. It's quite beautiful. The instrument is literally engineered to trade at 100. It's not engineered for a stable yield. The yield is what will change over the months, but not the price. And that's truly outstanding. Saylor now has a new habitual tweet where he tweets whenever we end at par. And so if we end at par every single day going forward, accept a lot of tweet. And of course, the big question is between the ex-dividend date and going back to 100, how long does that take, right? Does that take 2 days? Does that take 3 days? We know there will be a DPEG event every month at the ex-dividend date. There will be a DPEG event. But the question is, how quickly do we get back to 100? Hopefully, we get back to 100 really, really quickly. Ideally, in a day. If we did that would be such a superior instrument. And anyways, Bitcoin is getting adopted. Of course, big deal today. Morgan Stanley launching a Bitcoin trust. They have a lot of money that could move there. So that's a really big deal. And Saylor tweeting now about Saturn. So after Roxxam and APYX, we now have a third protocol of a Bitcoin-backed yielding USD stablecoin based on Stretch. And this one is called Saturn. So again, Stretch taking over TradFi, taking over corporate treasury funds, and also entering crypto outside of the US through these DeFi protocols that want to list an 11.5% USD yielding instrument on crypto rails. So I think this is a very positive development. So overall, a pretty good day in the market today, I would say. Overall, let's see over the next few days what happens with the taco. Is the taco real or is the taco not real? All I know is that I don't know, and so I'm de-risking, and I'm high in cash because I know I don't know. Anyways, this was not investment advice. This is not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.